I woke up to the scream of chainsaws chewing through 40 years of my late wife's memories, not knowing that by sunset the polished HOA tyrant directing the slaughter would be watching her entire fake empire collapse in the most beautiful karmic bonfire California had ever seen. 3 years earlier I'd thought I'd found peace in Crestline Lake Estates, that picture-perfect gated enclave tucked in the Sierra foothills where the air smelled of pine and money. Ethan Caldwell, 54, freshly retired aerospace engineer, trading Silicon Valley stress for morning coffee under 6 majestic California live oaks that had shaded this corner lot since the subdivision opened in the 80s. My wife Claire had fallen in love with them the first time we toured the property. She called them our cathedral. She carved our initials in the biggest one the day we closed escrow. She scattered some of her ashes there the week before the cancer finally won. Those trees were the only thing that still felt like home after she was gone. The realtor who sold me the place? Lydia Beaumont herself, blonde, Botox fresh, 49, driving a white Range Rover with a community-first plate frame that should have been flashing red lights. Just a formality, she purred when I asked about the HOA. We barely enforce anything. We're all about preserving the lifestyle. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 came 6 weeks later when she showed up in tennis whites and pearls, clipboard in hand, perfume thick enough to choke a buzzard. Ethan, darling, the lakefront owners have raised concerns about your trees compromising their views. Property values, you know. Community aesthetic standards. She smiled the way sharks smile right before the bite. I pointed out the trees were listed in the disclosure packet she herself had handed me. Her smile never flickered. Standards evolve, honey. I'm sure we can find a solution that works for everyone. Translation: a solution that worked for Lydia and her lakefront buddies who paid her real estate commissions. Over the next 18 months, she turned my life into a slow-motion fine factory. Violation notices for grass height, 0.4 inches too tall, mailbox orientation, even the color of the bench I built in Claire's memory garden, non-approved earth tone. $50 a day per violation. Appeals went to her hand-picked board of nervous retirees who wouldn't look me in the eye while they voted to bleed me dry. But here's what Lydia never understood about engineers. We document everything. While she was power-walking past my property line every evening with her little passive-aggressive comments, I was pulling original 1987 plats, state corporate filings, and every recorded conversation. California's one-party consent state made it deliciously legal. I even hired a real arborist who laughed out loud at her expert's fake report declaring my healthy oaks imminent hazards. Then she went nuclear. One Tuesday morning she showed up with a manila folder thick as a phone book and that same predatory smile. The Emergency Safety Committee has reviewed your situation. Those trees must come down tomorrow. Safety first. I asked who exactly was on this brand new committee. Myself, the Johnsons, and Mrs. Hargrove. Of course. Her inner circle. No certified arborist. No city permit. Just Lydia playing God with my memories. That night I made 3 calls. County recorder, State Attorney General's fraud line, and my attorney Marcus who specializes in HOA takedowns. By dawn I had the smoking guns. First, Crestline Lake Estates HOA had let its California nonprofit status expire 22 months earlier, meaning every fine, every threat, every standard Lydia had shoved down our throats was legally worthless. Second, every dime of dues for 2 years had been funneled straight into Beaumont Realty LLC, her personal company. $250,000. Third, and sweetest of all, according to the original developer's bankruptcy filings from 1989, Lydia's own lakefront mansion, the one she was so desperate to give an unobstructed sunset view, sat squarely on land that was supposed to remain permanent community green space. She'd known since closing day and buried the defect with a bribe to the bankrupt developer's lawyer. She never saw it coming. At 6:47 a.m. the convoy rolled in, 2 flatbeds, a wood chipper, and a deputy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Lydia stood on the curb in yoga pants and designer sunglasses, arms crossed like a general overseeing a righteous crusade. I stepped outside in pajamas, phone recording, voice calm as steel. Lydia, your HOA has no legal existence. Touch those trees and you're committing felony trespass and vandalism on my confirmed property. She laughed. Actually laughed. Safety supersedes paperwork, Ethan. The community has spoken. She waved the crew forward. The chainsaws roared. 6 sacred oaks, Claire's cathedral, hit the ground in 27 brutal minutes. The crew, in their rush, crossed the true survey line by 22 feet, and took out 2 more trees that were unquestionably mine. Sawdust hung in the air like snow. The deputy's face went gray when I showed him the plat and the expired corporate docs. He radioed for a supervisor. Lydia's smile finally cracked. 48 hours later, my legal team filed everything at once. Tree replacement damages, fraud, embezzlement, illegal occupation of community land, bribery of public officials, the works. The FBI fraud division showed up because wire transfers over $100,000 tend to interest them. At the emergency HOA meeting she called to dissolve the association and protect everyone, Lydia stood at the podium trying to ram through a vote while 47 neighbors stared daggers at her. I stood up, folder in hand. Before anyone votes, you should know Lydia has been stealing your money for 2 years and living on land that belongs to all of us. She tried to shut me down. Big mistake. You people don't understand leadership, she screamed, composure shattering like cheap glass. I did what was necessary, creative financing, strategic removals, whatever it took to protect our values. The room went dead silent except for the federal agent in the back row who quietly said, "That's a confession on the record, ma'am." Handcuffs clicked. Cameras flashed. The neighborhood Facebook group exploded with every family she'd ever bullied posting receipts. 6 months later, the federal judge awarded me and the class action neighbors $1.4 million, the largest HOA fraud judgment in Northern California history. Lydia forfeited her mansion, her real estate license, and her freedom for the next 36 months. Her husband, a city councilman, resigned in disgrace. They sold everything and slunk off to Nevada with whatever the bankruptcy court let them keep. We turned her stolen lakefront property into the Claire Caldwell Memorial Community Grove, 40 new heritage oaks planted by every family in the neighborhood, each with a plaque that reads, "Growth requires roots," and sometimes it requires cutting down the ones who tried to poison them. Kids play under the shade where Lydia used to park her Range Rover and glare at the rest of us. The new HOA board, democratically elected, audited monthly, actually works for the community instead of against it. I sit on the deck of what used to be her mansion every sunrise now, drinking coffee under the young trees we planted where her illegal dock once stood. The view is spectacular, and every time the breeze moves through those leaves, I swear I can hear Claire laughing at the perfect, poetic justice of it all. So tell me in the comments, when an HOA president hides behind community standards to destroy a widow's last memories and steal from her own neighbors, who is the real abuser of power? The Karen who finally got chainsawed by the very rules she weaponized? Or the system that let her reign until one man refused to kneel? Was Lydia the villain, or did the rest of us create her by staying quiet too long? Drop your thoughts below. If you've ever been fined for the wrong shade of welcome mat, you already know the answer. Smash like if karma tastes sweet today. Subscribe for more stories where regular people fight back and win. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay vigilant, neighbors. The trees are watching.